All right, hold up. We just pretty much gonna be talking about nerdy stuff, man. We're gonna get on your level today.
Okay.
Today. So
that's what's up.
I'm gonna go on and get on the intro. All right. Trim, you ready? What up, everybody? It's the Chord Room. Happy to be here once again doing my favorite thing I love to do, which is podcasting. You know what I'm saying? Man, I love having guests, man, but this guest is special to me. You know what I'm saying? This is my brother. We've been through a lot.
We got stories.
We've been through a lot, man. And it's funny, like this is a part of the things that we wanted to do in college. Like we wanted to, do episodes, or before it was podcasting, I guess it was just like we did like movies. We wanted to do, we had dreams, man. And no matter how much you grow up and do things, them dreams are always stay there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny how now today, we doing what we love to do still. You know what I'm saying? So he is the host of the BIG BLERD Podcast. Y'all check it out. Like, subscribe, do all of that, to his podcast. He's ex-football player, man. His father, husband, he's just
all the good stuff.
Yeah,
reacher of high things and lifter of heavy things. That's
right.
Exactly. That's my wife's job's description for me. You reach the high stuff and you pick up the heavy stuff.
Fact. So without any further ado, man, we about to get into some nerdy stuff today, man. Something that we like to on the Chord Room. We like to dig into different topics, man. You know what I'm saying, and bring people on that are doing different things, talking about different topics. So without further ado, it's my boy Chris Cox. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. And Clint, everybody, people that don't know or people that do know us, we go back over 20 years when we were in school. You know what I mean? Like we're dating us right now. But we go back a long time and we've always stayed in contact. And like I said, we got some stories from like the first night we ever like. If we have a chance to, we should tell that story how we became how we clicked up and became friends. Because
we could do that right now, man.
Oh, okay. So all right, so bet, right? So we're in college and then it's on the East Coast, right? So we're in Sullivan County Community College. So it's an upstate college, upstate New York, right? So we're at some type of it was a party. It was like a early in the season, early in the year, kind of like mixer / party, whatever it is, right?
Nice.
Like it was thrown by one of the clubs, I think like student association or whatever. And so you had to check your coat. So they had a coat check. So you had to check your coat and you went and hung out and party. So now everybody who went to this school thought they was getting away from the city, right? That was the initial, that when you went up to visit, that's what they told you. Oh, it's away from the city, you're gonna be upstate. Everybody from the hood was in this school. So you didn't get away from everybody, from all the hustlers, everybody was up at that school. It was wild.
Wow.
So we all having a fun night. We chilling, we partying, we hanging out. And then we about to head out. We about to leave. And one of our friends' coat is not in the coat check. And so, Clint, was you running the coat check, or was it?
Yeah, I was running the coat check, right?
So you was running the coat check.
Yeah,
it was Kevin's coat. Kevin's coat went missing. So shout out to my boy Kev. And so Kev's coat went missing. And so we were already like 4 or 5 of us already. So we were like, where's the coat? And Clinton, like true stand-up dude, he was like, hey, I was at coat check. I don't know, but let's go figure it out. And so we like detective talking to everybody in the party, and they were like, well, so-and-so just left with it, or just left with a coat that looked like that. So we take off. So it's like 6 of us now. We take off, see dude walking across the campus, book it. Hey, my man, you got my dude's coat, like hawked him down, pressed him for the coat.
Right.
Hey, take that off, Take that. So we made him take his coat off. And it was like, I don't know, it was at night, so it's probably like 40, 50 degrees.
Right.
It was bad.
Wow.
So I was like, yo, take that coat off, bro. So me and my man run the coat, take it off. It was Kev's. We got it back. And yo, we've been like this cool since then. And that's just one story. We had some running up in people's houses. They were messing with one of my friends, one of our good friends, and man. She came. Remember that she came back and was like, "Oh, he called me so tried to slap me." Oh, say less. Got in the car, went to my man's dorm, opened up his door. Hey, which one of you hit my friend? We were in a Toyota Tercel. Eugene's Toyota Tercel, and it was like 7 of us. And you know how that car is little, and I'm like 295 back then, so it's like, and then Scott was with Scott's 6'4", right? So we were all packed in this little car. It sounded like 30 people. We all slammed the door. It sounded like 30 people getting out this car, and it's like, yo, which one of y'all hit my friend? Huh? What happened? No, that's not what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. What?
Right.
So we had a crazy time. It was 2 years at Sullivan.
Yeah, man.
And we've been
to everybody at Sullivan.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. Shout out to Edgewood college dorms.
Right. We got two. That man, bro, that place got like a million stories, bro.
And that's just ours. And we have a ton. There's other people, like we know pieces of other people's story. Right. Like, remember when Shorty got like duct tape on the couch?
What?
Oh,
yeah. Duct tape.
Yo, it was like I said, everybody was from the hood. So it wasn't like you couldn't just go around and be happy-go-lucky and say something to somebody. Because that happened, and then it was an end of the year brawl. Wow. And it was remember that brawl that was out? They had the cops come. And, Yo, that school was wow.
Yeah. Sound like it was high school more than
anything. We did our 2 years, and then we all
left.
I was like, yo, I'm going to Iowa. I'm going to play football. I'll see y'all guys later. Bye. It was wild, yo.
Yeah, we had a ball. We had a ball up there though. We stuck together. That was the thing though. That we had a crew. We stuck together. Listen, everybody probably. Man, we all had size on us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So we all stuck together. Scott like 6 something. Yeah. Like Chris, like you said, he like 295. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody know the way we roll together. When you roll with a crew, you know what I'm saying? You just cool. Ain't nobody gonna really bother you.
Yeah, and because we wasn't really about that. But if something happened to one of us or one of our friends, then it was like, all right, what's good? But other time, everybody was like, oh, what's up? Like, we was the chill crew. Everybody hung out. We used to cook dinners and have like the whole like dorm over there.
I was just eating.
Yeah, we used to cook. I was like, let's throw like a barbecue, whatever it is. And so, because they were like townhomes, you know what I mean? So they weren't like normal dorms, because the dorms were summer cottages. So when the students left, like people rented them out. So they had an upstairs and a downstairs, and you kind of had like a little front pay. So it was like a little neighborhood, especially in college dorms. And so I was like, yo, let's just get together and make food. So like we linked up with like 3 or 4 of the different houses, and then we just all made food. And it was
that's dope.
That's cool. Dope. Everybody was out there. We got dressed up. Remember that, the first one?
Oh yeah.
Everybody got dressed up and put on. If you had like dress clothes, we had like a little cocktail party. It was wild.
Yeah.
And that was us. That was how we rolled. Like we hung out. We went everywhere.
Cracking jokes.
Crack jokes all the time. Like even the teachers, the professors was like, hey, the professors knew we was all like cool together. Yeah. And we never got into anything that somebody didn't drag us into.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Like we never really got into anything unless it was something to where like, somebody started something. You know, like that's just what it was. You know what I'm saying? We bro, like we had a great, I missed them times, man.
Yeah, we got some hate though. Cause like the ladies used to like hanging around all of us, cause like we just have people dying. Like me, Scott, Clinton, and Gerard would just like people you couldn't.
And Gerard was in it too. Wow.
Yo, you couldn't eat around us. It got so bad you couldn't eat or drink because we would purposely try to make you spit your food out or spit your juice out, and we just start cracking random jokes.
Right.
juice coming out their mouth, can't eat, and they were like, "Well, stop! I'm trying to eat." No, go ahead, eat, go ahead, and then we would just go off and crack jokes, and people we got a little hate for that. Like people like, "Why are we hating right now?" I don't know, because we cool as shit. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. We, like you're right. We got a little hate, man. But
remember Eddie Mack? Ed was with us.
Shout out to Ed.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ed, man.
Ed, Vin Diesel, Big Rob, security.
Right.
Detective Hugh,
was he a security? Or that was his job?
Big Rob is just a big dude.
Right, he's a big dude, man.
Like Big Rob, Rob and Big. Remember the black dude used to be.
He really him.
That's Big Rob.
That's really him.
But like, not
sarcastic as a
yes.
That's a sarcastic dude, bro.
Wow.
His aggression goes into his sarcasm. He wasn't gonna push. He wasn't gonna push you over or like fight you or nothing. But that Big Rob was just security.
Right.
What you doing? Why you coming in and
right?
What's going on?
You sound like
hey, remember that? Hey, y'all can't be using the phone all the time. Yo, we had some good times. And, we all still talk today.
Yeah,
like
man.
we all
that's dope, man.
We all still talk and hang out, and like Scott did you guys' logo, right?
Yeah, got that logo. Yep,
it's dope. Yeah.
Logo,
so like we all try to make sure we are involved in each other's life as best as we can be, because we know we all have our lives. So
we spread out across the United States.
Yeah,
but like I said, it was our dream to be tied to each other somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter. You got a business. Shoot, I'm linking you with my business, and we working together. And, that's why I say this podcast so special to me, because to me that's the beginning of that. Us doing that. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what's up.
The definition of a blerd.
So that's a relatively new term, right? So like when we was young, it was just you was a nerd,
right? Or
if you're from the East Coast, you was a herb. So
right.
You know what I mean? For all our East Coast, he was that's a herb ass dude over there, right? So, but now because nerd culture, anime, comic books, collectibles, things like that, now it has become mainstream. Black culture, or part of Black culture, we have decided to take power in naming what the movement is.
Right.
And I say we, but I think that's more of a younger generation thing. I just consider myself a lover of anime, or a lover of video games, or a lover of comics, or whatever. But still, as a Black man, being involved in this, I don't want to say resurgence, but this complete blow up of nerd culture. That's what a blerd is. Basically, you're a Black nerd, but it's a term of endearment because you are owning your love of something that used to be counterculture and is now pop culture and mainstream.
Nice. That's dope.
And I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm a blerd.
Yeah, you got a Pac-Man shirt on, bro. You blerd.
See what I mean? I'm trying to figure this out. When I'm gonna keep it a buck. When I heard blerd, I'm like, but dang, he must love Big Bird. I thought it was like Sesame Street. A Big Bird, then I watched the Kendrick Crump episode.
Yeah,
that you did with Kendrick Crump.
Shout out to Kendrick. Yes,
right.
But back to the story though.
I was like, right, back to the story. But I was like, wait a minute, all right, blerd, all right, Black nerd. So I'm like, all right, but dang, I might be a Black nerd. I don't know. I collected comic books when I was in school. I used to take my little dollars, go to it was a bodega down the street that had, they had the pornos, they had
the of course always in the back, tucked to the left.
Right, exactly. And they had, the the comic books at the bottom. So whenever I got my little money, I'll go and I'll buy me some comic books. But then I started, as the movie started coming out, I started connecting, this kind of, I was like, okay, because I was really an X-Men. Really, I was just an X-Men fan, because of the cartoon. So I was like, man, I started connecting the dots with the new movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with you, since I know you so well, it started the term blurred became something a little different for me because I had some questions. I started thinking about things like, okay, well, I know this is, Chris, he's from Brooklyn. He's from, he played football. He, what I'm saying, he grew up, he grew up in a rough neighborhood just like I did. So, but he likes nerdy things. He loves anime. Coming up as a kid, how was that for you being a blerd?
It was solitary. And then, but real quick, I'll add this in there too. Like, so I know Clint, like I said, me and him 20 years or so. Clint is a music hip hop head, right? Like a true audiophile. But that's being a blur too, because that is a specific culture, a specific genre that you fully engage in. So it doesn't even have to be comics or anything like that. You're a blur because you are a true music. I mean, people will say, especially Black culture, oh, you a hip hop head. But you know what I mean? That's nerd tendencies. You dabbling, you dabbling in nerd, bro.
Got a question, man. So back then, did Clint ever break down his definition of between what an MC is and an artist for you? Did he ever delve into that for you?
No, but we were all on the same page because like people that we liked or didn't like, we were just like, why are you even on the radio?
Right.
Like,
so Chris, so what is Drake, man? Is he an MC or is he an artist?
Okay. So when he first came out, he was an MC. Like when he first dropped and his first CD that came, and that's how when it first came out, because I got it on a CD, like after the mixtape. So this was like 2010-ish.
Sharp part that joint.
Yeah, he was an MC. Because his lyrics, his wordplay, his puns, his production on it, and the storytelling, he was an MC. He was a genuine, like, master of ceremonies. Like, he moved the crowd. You know what I mean? That was his joint. But as he got more and more famous, then he became, quote unquote, an artist, because then you start experimenting with like the auto tunes and you kind of singing. Then you're getting further and further away from what made him an MC. And I think that's where he's in the artist genre. Like Akon was a singer, and he was a singer. And then as he got further and further in the business, now he's a producer. Now he's an entrepreneur. Now he's just someone that's a part of the music community. I wouldn't consider him a singer anymore. He's almost a former singer. That's where I look at it as that one Drake. Do I listen to Drake now? Hell no. Did I listen to Drake in 2010? Yes, I did. I thought it was like fire. I thought it was like, man, I can't wait for the next CD. And then I heard it and I was like, what happened?
Right. All right. So here's my thing about Drake, right? I don't dislike the guy, right?
No, not personal at all.
Right, exactly. Like my thing is this though. You want to be in both spaces, right? Cool.
Why can't he be in both spaces?
Now, hold up. I said that's cool. That's cool, right? Lauren did it. CeeLo did it. Fonte from Little Brother did it, right? But here's the thing. They were rappers first, and they were great at rapping. Then they were like, hey, you know what? Let me show you. I could do this too.
Yeah.
And they did it very well. Right? Yeah. Now here's the thing about Drake. Drake is dope. And he was becoming a dope MC, right? He was growing, He decided, he got to that fork in the road. And everybody comes to that fork in the road when they say, hey, you know what? I want to make lots of money.
Yep.
Right? Because there's not a lot of money in being, it could be, let me say that. It can be if you're traditional, but to be what he is right now, artist of the decade, he came to the fork of that road. He said, you know what? I'm going to become a singer and I'm going to become a rapper. Right? Yeah. Here's the thing though. You're not really that good at rapping.
Oh, wow. Dropped it.
You're okay. You're not great, you're okay, and you're not a great singer.
No.
So how do I, the person who collects, art and music, a person who critiques music without even having a podcast, I'm by myself critiquing who you are. How do I say this person who's mediocre at both of two of these things is great?
I don't think you can, because that's your opinion. But you gotta look at it like nowadays. So again, and I hate to be like the old people, you know what I mean? Like we like the old three in the room, you know what I mean? But when we were younger, you were judged on your rhyme skill. Like it was a legit skill, regardless of what beat they put on there. Could you complement the beat? Not was the beat gonna be the one that saved you? And now
that's a big statement.
Now we're in the generation where the beat is what. If you can have a song by Blueface and this dude is making money and he's not rapping on beat, and it's not even cute, kind of like Lumi D. Remember Lumi D came out with and the shit was off key. And it was off key, but it was kind of cute. But that's an example of the beat saving it. That when that beat came out in the summer, that was the summer beat for like 2 years.
Let's question. So people like Blueface, definitely not the first artist type to do it. I think back to people like Silk the Shocker, who definitely did not rhyme on beat at all. And
but that's a southern. That was a southern thing though. Like I agree. Silk the Shocker wasn't a good rapper. I agree.
All right. So listen, I'm gonna say this too, because I don't want anybody to look at this and be like, "Yo, all right, he just hating, right?"
Yeah.
Because I feel like, all right. So listen, there were a couple of rappers. I'm just gonna say him today. I'm just gonna say him.
Go ahead.
A couple of rappers that we consider to be legends. That to me back then was not that good.
All right.
First, and they didn't. This group did not get that good until maybe later on. DOS Effects.
Yeah.
Skippity bump.
And I'm gonna be real. DOS Effects to me was like a one-hit wonder. Like they were a one-trick pony. They had that one thing, and they wrote it out.
Right. Like it's a bunch of nursery rhymes. Yes. I'm listening to this. I'm like, yo, the beat is catchy, and I was rocking with it. Don't get it twisted. But as I reflect, like this was a bunch of nursery rhymes and just a bunch of stuff in this one. And it
with a catchy beat and a catchy hook, and it sold money.
Which is going on. Which is going on a lot today.
Exactly.
Because I'd say to Clinton's point, I say this, like when you say Drake is mediocre at singing, mediocre at rapper. So look at CeeLo. CeeLo was a part of Goody Mob, and CeeLo was a big part of the rhyme scheme in Goody Mob, right? And then he said, I can sing, and he legit sings on his records. Like take Wildflower. If everybody hasn't heard it, take Wildflower. Wildflower is a legit like fast-paced R&B song, and he's a legit singer. And let's take Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah was holding it down for female rappers for decades. And then she said, I'm gonna drop a whole CD singing covers. And she sang a cover of the Mamas and Papas California Dreamin'. If y'all haven't heard that, go check that out. Yo, she sings the shit out of that song.
Well, I was giving props to her, man, when she came out with she was doing her thing even in Chicago. That's when I first heard her start singing.
Yes, when she was in Chicago. And and people they didn't know that she could sing. And then she dropped I think she's done 2 or 3 just singing albums.
Right.
And they were legit, like they hold its own with other female singers who have just been singing. But then you have people like Drake who I'm not gonna pay for him to go just sing me a song. And it's like when I coach, it's like when because I coach football, if a kid plays in 7th grade, then for some reason doesn't play 8th grade, and then you get him in 9th grade, football wise, he's still a 7th grader. Because he's left at that skill level, and you got to play catch up. So if Drake, let's give him credit, benefit of the doubt, he stopped being an MC in 2012. He's still at his lyrical skill level of 2012, and there are people that passed him up.
Right.
So you have to look at it like that, because now it's all about the beat. dudes just rock with the beat. If the beat's fire, that's it. They don't even care about what dudes are saying. Like,
but they got lemon pepper.
I'm sorry.
Hey, there's no reason. I mean, I want to say this because the baby might find a brother. That dude be going after people, but there's no reason why he should be rapping. Like, I mean, I'm glad he got his hustle and he out here rapping and people like his stuff. But I've listened to it and I'm like I get like 60 seconds into a song. I'm like, I can't. And I just
it's just too much whining. I'm just saying, I don't get it, man. And I'm not listen. I want him one day to get back in the bag without where he was in terms of what I like. But until then, I'm going to listen to all you LeBrons, all the Drakes, all the people who are on top of the world. Understand, they're going to be people who want to critique and not like what you do. Yes. Not everybody's going to like what you do.
So interesting that you bring that up, man. So,
but I can't do it, but I still have an opinion.
Right.
So is Dr. Dre a producer?
Oh my gosh.
What you talking about? You talking about Ed Love is Dr. Dre? You talking about Ed Love is Dr. Dre?
No, we're talking about Dr. Dre, the Dr. Dre.
You talking about Dr. Dre? Okay, so Dre, getting in shape, Dre, passed out because his head hurt because his wife taking that money, Dre.
Yeah,
that Dre, yeah.
He was like, you are how much? Oh shit.
Right.
He tried to fake his own death.
He put a stop to that though. He was like, oh, that. Listen.
That's because he called Tupac. He was like, hey, how'd you do it, bro? How'd you do? I gotta get out of this situation. I wanted to answer that and I want to go back to what Clint asked me. So growing, I know we taking it back to the original question, but this is what happens when people like you vibe together. You just start talking. Growing up and liking anime and liking all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it was dangerous, but there were, because there was a point where a lot of us were in like 6th grade. And we were sharing comic books, right? We were get because that was when Venom and Carnage came out, and they had the limited edition like metal covers. Yeah, and we were all into comic books. X-Men had cards, and they were like trading cards, and they had everyone's powers.
Remember those?
If you were Omega level mutant and all that, right? And there was a moment when there was a bunch of us that were all in that same level, right? And then all of a sudden, we came back to 7th grade. And dudes was bringing pistols to school. The same dudes that was borrowing my comics and hanging out, and we playing like Sonic and shit at the house. Now they out there taking 38s to school. Now they fighting, cracking dudes' jaws like over nothing. And so it became this bridge. It became this big divide in between that. Crazy. So then what happened? Yeah, and it was wild. And so now all of a sudden, it's almost like Debo, like I'm tuck my shit in. So then I stopped talking about liking comics. Like, honest to God, my cousin, who's like my brother, he's got his own podcast. I'm gonna shout him out real quick. It's called From Where I Sit podcast. We didn't know each one of us liked anime like on a real deep level until like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Because he was in Brooklyn too, and you just didn't talk about that. Like I didn't say about to family. I just did I didn't tell people I watched kung fu movies and I liked watching them in the original language. So I liked watching them subtitled because I hate dubbed. I hate dubbed, yo. I would go to Chinatown and get different flicks, you know what I mean? Watch different movies or hang out in different parts of New York City. And I didn't tell nobody that. And then so at a certain time, you get a label. So then I started to get bigger. So now I get labeled as now you're a big dude. So I had people call me big man, big guy, big dude since middle of 7th. That's kind of shot up 8th grade. And then you get into little scuffles here and there. Now, I'm not going to get on here and say I'm like 44. No, because I got my shit rocked a couple times, but you get into fights. Like you get into fights and then now you fight. And then now you're a big guy. And then you get out of middle school and you get to high school and you play football. And so now I'm a football player. And so that is the perception that I've had. And it took a realization maybe 3 years ago, right before I started my podcast, that I had good friends that only know me as a football player. I mean, they know me as a dad and know me as a husband and a friend, but I don't talk about that side of me. right? Even when I was in college with Clint, like, because we had like a safe space, right? Like, because Scott collected figures, we watched anime, we played fighting games of, you know, on Sega Dreamcast. You know what I mean? Like, so it would, like, a little bit would come out, but I still kept a lot to myself. And I had this realization. I was like, how come people that I've played football with, or at that time, I think I'm still playing football, like, no, I had just finished. So like 4 years ago, so I just finished playing football. And I was like, people don't know me anything other than a football player. And I was like, I gotta like say something. And by chance or whatever, I came across an article, right? And it was about a football player. And at the time, he was playing for the Green Bay Packers. His name was Mike Daniels. Shout out to Mike Daniels. He actually follows me on Instagram now. It's really, that's my claim to fame, right? But he's a football player, right? And he showed up to Comic-Con in full anime dress as the Raikage from Naruto. I don't know if you ever watched that, but those are ninjas from the Cloud Village, and those ninjas are black, right? So he showed up in full head to toe dress, kicked open the doors, was acting in the voice and everything, and his brother went as the character. He was his brother, like, so they were playing dressed up, cosplaying brothers from the anime, and they were there, and they're both big dudes. Like, his brother's like 6'3", 220 something, football player. Crazy. He's 6'1", he's from Jersey. You know, they're from Jersey, and he was like, my love of anime is what got me to the NFL. The fact that I've never been the biggest, I've never been the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, and so I could watch an anime like Naruto and see him work his butt off and get better, and people respect him for his hard work. Well, he said, well, then I can do the same thing. And I read that article, man, and it was like it changed my whole life. I started my podcast like a month later, and I was like, I'm gonna talk about all the stuff I want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna let y'all know I love anime. Like, I watch it, you know, subtitled. Like, I watch Japanese anime. I watch Korean dramas on Netflix. Like, yo, my Netflix is like a passport. I ain't gotta leave my couch, man. Like, I watch Korean dramas. I watch Japanese movies, Korean TV shows. I watch TV shows from Spain, Germany, and like Polish TV shows. They have some really good shows. Like, I'll be getting into them a lot too. And it's been eye-opening to do this as an adult, but as a youth, it was kind of scary. And I just fell into the role that I'm a football player and that's it. So I need to conduct myself as a football player and conduct myself as a kid from the inner city. And
that's the problem with Black people, though, because we box ourselves in.
Yes.
We box ourselves in to the point where, you know, we don't allow ourselves to see what's outside in the world, you know, to open our spirits up to like different things. It's okay. Like, and it coming from the world we come from in New York, it's cool because we learn different religions, different cultures. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like you was talking about karate, like that was the dopest thing. Like, my pops used to watch that like every Saturday.
Every Saturday from like 1 to 5, they always had 2 martial arts movies on.
Right. And that thing was on point, bro. Like, you know, I remember even with karate, it, you know, that I used to like get the karate slippers. I'm gonna tell you, bro. You know, I was like you. I played football when I was a kid, and you know, my uncles used to always. They used to work in like Chinese restaurants. They used to cook and stuff like that, and they used to like kind of dress like the Asian people they work with, but in a black way. Like, they would wear like jeans with the karate slippers.
For real,
you know what I'm saying? So one day, I was like, Mom, I want a pair of karate slippers. My mom was like, oh, you want them? All right, I'll get them. My mom said that too fast. I don't know. She said that way too fast. I was like, yo, I felt it in my spirit, like, yo, this is a bad thing, Clint. Now, listen, I didn't get teased. Everybody thought it was cool because everybody was rocking karate slippers and stuff like that. but I played football in them.
Oh.
And them things, I ran them down in like a week. Literally
Done,
had a hole at the bottom of the slipper.
They ain't nothing but cloth and a little bit of like material at the bottom.
Oh man, I wore them things out. But karate, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but I think for us, I think in New York, karate was, I think that would be the start of us getting into like anime and, you know, things like that, you know, and my thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like Thundercats is is that considered to be anime?
I think it is. Really?
It wouldn't not? Be, but you know what? You know actually what is anime is Voltron. The original Voltron. So here's a story about that. So the original Voltron is a Japanese created cartoon, but it's called DIC. DIC. They were the American company that purchased it because they're like, yo, we can sell, because they were hooked in with Hasbro and like, we can sell toys. So they brought Voltron from Japan, but they changed the name because in Japan it was called Go King Robot, like Go Lion King Robot or something like that. Wow. And then they didn't understand it. So like the version of Voltron that we watched as a kid was out of order. Like the first episode that aired was like the middle, like the fourth episode.
That's
because they didn't understand it. So it's like if you go back, and they used to have it on Netflix, the original Voltron. They had the original Voltron because Netflix made a new one, which is like awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it is awesome. I was about to say
the new one is dope.
It's dope.
But they had the original one on, and then you could finally watch it in sequence, and it makes so much more sense.
Okay.
And you realize it was all out of order because they didn't understand it.
That is so dope, man.
But I think that was a lot of our generation's first like dipping the toe into anime, and that style was Voltron. And then early in the 60s, it was Speed Racer. Speed Racer is
I didn't like Speed Racer too much, man.
Speed Racer with Chim Chim.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I watched it. I love the theme song and everything. And you know me. I've been using the meme ever since. For the past ever since when they was talking about the marathon continues, I was always putting up the Speed Racer meme and said the marathon continues.
Yes,
man. But I didn't. I could. It didn't do anything for me. Speed Racer did not do anything for me.
And it's hard. It's hard because again, it was in the 60s, so it doesn't really resonate. I think it's resonated more due to nostalgia. But like Clint said, the kung fu movies plus Voltron, and then everybody wanted to be Bruce Lee. You know, everybody wanted. You know what I'm saying? And then you start watching. Then what happens is because the video age, everybody's going to video stores back then. Like every hood had like a video store. It wasn't just Blockbuster. It was everybody had Mario's video. Yeah.
Right.
Movie Stop, Suncoast Video, Hollywood Video.
Right.
And so you could go get the Chinese, you can get the old school Jet Li movies before he came to America in Lethal Weapon 4. So people knew about Jet Li because they was watching Once Upon a Time in China. They was watching all these movies. I'm like, man, this is bad. And so you had a whole groundswell of all these Asian characters. And then the first Ong Bak came out in like the late 90s with Tony Jaa. And it just, so like that Kung Fu, karate, martial arts is kind of like what kind of gets people in the world. And then what really was big for a lot of kids in the neighborhood, like a lot of kids that are in the younger generation than me, was Toonami. Like Cartoon Network's Toonami. Toonami was big because they started airing Dragon Ball Z and it was dubbed. And so now everyone had a chance to watch Dragon Ball Z because a lot of people don't understand there was a Dragon Ball. Like Dragon Ball Z doesn't start with Dragon, it doesn't start with Z.
I always wanted that.
There was a Dragon
Ball.
It came out in the 80s. It was like from 87 to like 88 or 89. And so Dragon Ball was dope. Dragon Ball was more ferocious because like literally at the end of Dragon Ball, like Goku goes nuts and like kills the whole Red Ribbon Army. Like he just destroys the whole base. But they made it more about the fight scenes and in Dragon Ball Z. I mean, there was a couple of storyline stuff, but the main storyline was just like Goku's gonna fight this one person for like the whole season.
Yeah.
Like the cell arc was like, I think, a season and a half, you know, when he fought Tien the second time, or the first time was a long one. When he fought Piccolo, that was almost a whole season worth of him fighting Piccolo and then Piccolo being friends. So, but Toonami brung a lot, because then you could watch more than just that. So then you started watching 8-Man After, Kashan the Robot Hunter.
And they even brought Thundercats on there when they first aired.
Yep, they had Thundercats. You had Blue Six, Big O, because me and Scott used to watch Big O at in college when they aired it, because they had a whole thing where they aired the whole season in like 2 nights.
Wasn't Cowboy Bebop a part of Toonami's?
Yep, Cowboy Bebop was part of Toonami. So I think that's a big reason why Cowboy Bebop is so huge now, because everyone started watching. It's like, yo, this is amazing.
That's dope.
And Samurai Champloo, talk about mixing hip hop and anime.
I didn't get into Samurai Champloo, but I gotta say this real quick because I know they watching. Shout out my boys Troy and Mark, because they some big Dragon Ball Z friends, QV3. So I got to shout them out, man, because they're like supreme Dragon Ball Z friends.
Hey, you know what's crazy? I didn't watch. So listen, once again, I don't watch anime. I know, but I'm gonna ask Chris about some, like, you know, I want to get into it. So I'm gonna try to, you know, get some startups, some stuff that I would want to get into. But I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z until I got to college. Watching it with them, watching it with Chris. You know what I'm saying? Because Chris, they was heavy on Dragon Ball Z.
Even though I didn't like it, Scott was more heavy. Scott loved it.
That's what it probably was. Dude. That's what it was. It was Scott. It was Scott.
Like all my friends, my boy Wes, who lives in Atlanta, he has a podcast. I'm gonna shout. He gets on me all the time. He says I'm blasphemous because I talk trash about them. Because I'm like, it was just fights. Like there was no story, and like Goku. But Goku was never going to get hurt. That's why I say
he
Naruto
did get hurt at times.
But he always got better. Like he
was a star that kept the show.
Yo, Naruto almost died like 4 times. He died once. Like he actually died, and they resuscitated. He lost an arm.
I remember that episode too.
Like he lost like Naruto lost an arm and only got it back because they had the Hashirama cells. Like he had legit issues that he had to overcome. Whereas with Goku was going to borrow somebody's energy. He was going to hit him with a spirit bomb, and he was going to win, or he was going to go to the hyperbolic chamber. He was going to go to the chamber, train for like what was a year, but really be like 5 years, and come out and be Super Saiyan.
So like, the culprit is really just Naruto had better writers than Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, in some cases they dropped the ball on Sakura, but I think it was a conscious decision. Like like Clint said with Drake, they said, do we want to give the fans what they want and make money, or do we want to write the story that we wrote in Dragon Ball but no one wants it? And so they got to the fork in the road, and they said, we're gonna make this money. It's all about fights. It's all about instant transmissions. It's all about everybody wanting Gohan to be the next big thing. You know, at Kid Buu is my favorite art. Kid Buu was like disrespectful to everybody. Kid Buu turned a person into chocolates and ate them, and was like, "Yo, we good." So that was one of my good arcs. But they decided to say, let's give the fans what they want. Like Dragon Ball Z is kind of like an ultimate like guy non-sexual fan service. We're just gonna have fights, and we're gonna make them last the whole season.
Yeah, definitely. I got one question. So, you ever heard of this show called Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs?
So what is it?
Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs.
Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs. Is that the one where they were on Mars?
It sounded like it was, but
he had like the Native American, and it was like super racist. He had a Native American like friend. He was like Lone Wolf or something like that. And I might be mixing up cartoons, but
it might be. But yeah, Saber Rider and Star Sheriffs. It's kind of similar concept to Voltron a little bit, but these guys are Saber Rider. The Star Sheriffs are like kind of like bounty hunters.
Okay.
And they go all over the universe, searching for criminals and bringing them in. But they pilot these robots, and they come together to form one big huge robot, kind of like Voltron a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was pretty dope, man.
No, I haven't seen
it.
that. It's different. The only other robot one other than Voltron was GoBots, which was kind of like a knockoff of Transformers.
Yeah, I remember GoBots.
So because that was a big thing, you like GoBots or you like Transformers,
right?
But yeah, man, I think anime right now, because of those early innovations by channels like Cartoon Network, and you could start watching stuff like late at night, like on Comedy Central would even have certain things. It was pretty cool because then it opened people's eyes. So kids in the hood who was up late at night not sleeping because we don't have no sleep schedule, right? So they was watching anime, and they was getting addicted to it, and that's why you got Megan Thee Stallion, who's rapping all about anime damn near in cosplay every time.
Wow.
Because she grew up on that, and it became mainstream because all of that generation talked about it together. Whereas my generation, the older generation, you didn't talk about it. You had no one to talk about it because you kept it in the shell. So it looks like we like bandwagon fans because we talking about it now because of social media and everything. But we was like carrying that torch solo when it wasn't cool to carry.
A lot of people like that now. It's a lot of people like it. Hey, this is dope, man. I got two of my brothers on here talking about it.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it's just vibing. This is awesome. Like, who was one of the first rappers though to carry that was I can't remember his name. I mean, Kick Push. He came out with Kick.
Lupe Fiasco.
Lupe Fiasco was one of the first dudes that was dropping bars.
Yes, he was.
About anime. Like my man's a full-on samurai.
Oh,
did you see his training?
Yeah.
He's a swordsman.
With it.
He's a full-on swordsman. Like
you're right.
Has practiced and mastered his style. But yeah, it was the first one because he was. I mean, just his name Lupe is a mix of Lupin the Third.
Yeah,
which is
he dropped that bar in that Kanye song, man.
Yep.
Oh, that sample was hard, Kanye. You know what? I'm gonna say something kind of like crazy though.
Hey, speak your shit, man.
So because you know what? It's my thought process about blerd, right? Being a blerd, right?
Yeah.
Black people. We love to create spaces where we can just be free and talk about whatever we want to talk about, and we also carry the flag for whatever is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like we make it could be the worst thing in the world, but and you put it on us, we want to put it right back at you, and it's gonna be the coolest thing in the world. Like I'm saying, like you man, you put us in a cage full of alligators, we coming out with boots and hats. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we get down. And
shout out to PETA. We not wearing no leathers. Nobody got hurt in that statement.
Right, exactly. Right. So I think about, we just talked about basically the 80s, right? With karate and all of those things. And you gave us some history about how Voltron got started. We coming into the 90s. So in a black space, we are, like you said, we're not really talking about this too much. We kind of like, you know what I'm saying? We whisper in the corners. But 2000s come around, and I'm thinking about how hip hop fuses all of these things together. It's kind of random thoughts. I'm thinking about Kanye West.
Yeah.
I feel like Kanye made it cool just to be you.
Yeah.
So I think he's the first rapper to be like, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna wear whatever I want to wear. I'm gonna wear, some polos. I'm gonna be nerded out. I'm gonna be who I am. Because before Kanye, there was everybody was cookie cut. Everybody was trying to be.
It was probably hard. Everybody was trying to be a street thing. Everybody was trying to be a thug.
Right. I feel like Kanye gave everybody. That's why he embraced people like Lupe. He's the first one to embrace Lupe. And Lupe is out of this world with bars. This is
yes, he is.
Be clear,
like like a legitimate. If he wanted to come in and just like say, "Okay, I'm gonna shut it down," could.
I think he's underrated. He's definitely underrated.
Because
MC,
I feel like
artist.
I'm sorry. I feel like he recognized like the trash in the game and was like, "I'm good. I made what I need to make, and I'm out of here doing my own thing."
Definitely.
Right. When it and light years from now, they're gonna be dissecting the first album from Lupe.
Yeah,
it's a layered. It's so much layered bars in that album. It's ridiculous, bro. Like I never. Even when you know, like Nas loves this guy. A lot of people don't know Nas loves Lupe because he says that Lupe is him.
Dope. That's dope.
Lupe is him. Like he's like, yo, if I had to pick somebody that was me, it's Lupe. You know, like he's like you said, you know, if you had to call him some type of anime, he's a samurai. Like his words is just he looks like when you close your eyes and you think about a cartoon or anime, he's a samurai. So, but my other question to you was this though.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you about like hip hop blurred, right? Like I said, we embrace everything. So have you heard like some bars from like some people that had like, I know you mentioned Megan, right? You mentioned Lupe. What other bars you caught? They was like, yo, that's an anime bar. That's like, that comes from something that from the blurred culture.
Look, the dude that I like, so I mentioned Megan Thee Stallion, but I'm not a fan, right?
Right, I know.
Denzel Curry. Have you heard?
I've heard him before.
Denzel Curry drops
Denzel,
anime references in 80% of the songs that I've heard of, and I like those songs. Like I was like, yo, I'm rocking with this. And then he also was in an anime. So if you check out, if you have Netflix, he was in his anime. It's called Carol and Tuesday, and it's a music anime. It's about two girls, white girl, black girl, like meet each other by chance, and they like have an instant music connection. And the whole thing is them trying to make real music in the future when all the music is like computer generated. So they make like real songs together, and then the whole
that one, bro.
What's the name of it again?
It's called Carol and Tuesday, right? And it's real. It dives deep on real deal stuff because basically, like they live on Mars, but it looks like Dumbo, like down underneath in New York City. Like it looks just like Manhattan in that area, but it's on Mars. It's like a replica of Earth, and so if you're from Earth, you're like an immigrant, you're an alien. And so there's like a lot of anti-immigrant laws. And Denzel Curry's character was like a social justice, like a community leader. And then he gets arrested and they film him rapping about all the social injustice that's going on. And it's like dope. Like the story is cool. So like Denzel would be the guy for me that I think is legit. Like, they're not just dropping the name to drop a name. Like he's working it in because it fits the narrative of the story. Like it fits the narrative of his rhyme scheme and the song, not just, oh, well, it sounds good if I drop a Naruto character here. No, I kind of built the song so it leads up to this.
Wow.
Wow. And then who else is good? I know you said you didn't like Samurai Champloo, but Samurai Champloo was one of the first that bridged hip hop and anime together. And so they have one of the producers, and people get it twisted. They think Nujabes is the guy that did the whole album, but he was just one of the many producers on the album. And they contributed this whole hip hop influenced soundtrack to the show. And like the show is crazy. Like if you watch it and get into it, it's like each episode is its own story, but it follows an arc. And to me, I think that melding of music and anime was dope. Kanye West's Better, was it Harder, Faster, Stronger? The video, that's an actual anime. It's like a 55-minute anime, and he just took clips out of it because Daft Punk actually helped create that anime based off that album. And so when Kanye sampled it and worked with Daft Punk, he took the anime clips and put it in his video. And I think that helped a lot too. But people don't know Kanye lived in Japan. Like, Kanye was a nerd. Like, he got a scholarship and was studying in Japan as like a kid, like a 12, 13-year-old. Like, he was, so that culture and understand, especially with fashion, I think that's
a lot of his
fashion is on there.
And his album covers have been resemblance of some of some artists that he's looked up to in Japan.
Yep. That's awesome. And that's where a lot of that creativity comes from. Like, he's wild and he's got some issues, but the creativity is there. And especially with fashion, it comes from being in Japan is like on the low. And I shouldn't even say on the low. Japan is real fashion forward. Like, Japan and Korea.
Right.
Like, turn on any Korean TV show and the fashion that they're wearing, it's like a whole mix of like rich couture, but hip hop inspired. Like, you got to check it out. It's dope. And then who's big right now in terms of music and hip hop? My man LaShawn Thomas. So LaShawn Thomas is a animator and a studio head and director from New York City, and he just released 2 animes. So he released one on Netflix called Cannon Busters. And I think that has the best opening song. Really? And dude, go to Cannon Busters on Netflix tonight and just listen to the opening song and tell me that's not fire. And then the ending song is dope too.
Dude, you gotta send you dropping some major list things. You gotta send the message because you dropping some things I gotta go back and listen to and look
I'll send you. And then he came out with another one. He just did Yusuke, which is
what is that?
It's a anime about the real life. It's not real life because it's an anime, but it's about the real life character, the Black Samurai, who was originally an African slave.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but he went to Japan and became like became a feared samurai for the daimyo. LaShawn Thomas made an anime based on him, and the same thing. It's hip hop inspired in terms of its music. Anime and hip hop are really starting to bridge because there's a lot of African Americans, people of color that grew up in that era of Cartoon Network and Toonami and this and that. And so now they're like, shit, I want to draw. Like, I want to be an artist. And so now they're starting to have there's 2 twin brothers in Korea that they have their own anime studio. They just dropped a Filipino anime that was like a super well-regarded graphic novel. So it just aired on Netflix today. It's called Trece. They did Seis Manos, which is like basically a 70s style kung fu, but the characters are all characters of color. So there's African Americans, Mexicans, and it takes place in the Mexican town, and it deals with a lot of like Mexican like folklore and like mystical, like kind of like magic, but it's all kung fu, and it's dope. Like it's there. These hidden gems that are there because our people are people of color, Black people, Spanish people, Filipino. We are getting into this culture and saying, well, we're tired of not seeing us. So we're going to go ahead and create it. Dope. There's another anime called Michiko and Hakchan, which is all about Afro-Brazilians and Afro-Latinas in the town. And it's an anime.
I like to see that type of stuff, man. That's dope.
It's crazy. Check out. I'll send you kind of a list of some stuff to watch.
Please do. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I need a list. I wanted to get into comic books, right?
Yeah. I got some for you. I got some heat for you for that too.
Yeah, because my goal is to start to stack up a comic book collection for Carrington, my daughter. right? So that way she can have like something. See, which I don't understand is that comic books are assets. You can, if you don't want them, you can sell them off, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if she's not into comic books when she get older, that's cool. She can just have something she can just sell and get some money.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Whatever she wants to do with them, she'll do that. So I'm gonna stack up a nice little, just kind of some big pieces that she can have. But I was looking at this young lady. She was talking about X-Men, right, and how that's the blueprint for like most of like the cartoons that's out right now that really are like classics, right? Talk to me about like X-Men like that. And we talking about what, like Fox, like Fox 5. Well, in New York we had Fox 5, but they had
it was Fox. It came on Channel 5 on Saturdays.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Fox.
It was which is still considered by many to be one of the best like American,
hands down,
cartoon like comic book translation cartoons. Like everyone
hands
loves
down.
the opening song, the themes of it. So speaking on X-Men, right? So X-Men, it hits a lot of people, and I think it's starting to resonate within the Black community or people of color, because the fact that Stan Lee, that was his way of social justice. Like the reason why Sentinels are chasing mutants is mutants are the analogy to Black people and people of color.
Exactly.
And Sentinels were basically racists who didn't want another type of person living with them. So like we don't, I mean, look at the fact that we have a whole African-American character in a continent, in the African continent, and the continent is rich. Now, it was created originally by Stan Lee, and it has been improved over time. But X-Men and a lot of those characters, and with like Black Panther being in the Avengers, it resonated with a lot of people of color, especially now, because they're understanding the history behind it. And then in terms of X-Men being the blueprint, I think it was because it was that big hero dynamic where everyone worked together, but it talked about real problems. Like they had a comic one, the original X-Men. So there's like X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men. And so like everyone thinks of X-Men as like Wolverine and Cyclops, and but really before that there was Ant-Man and the Wasp. They were there was Ant-Man, the Wasp.
They were X-Men. Yeah, they were X-Men too. Because I think whenever I hear that, I always keep thinking about the Avengers.
Yes, but they were part of the X-Men, and like with Banshee, and like they were all part of the X-Men. Archangel, which then they brung back, and it was like he got metal wings, but they changed over time. But they talked about how Hank Pym was a serial abuser. Like he used to beat on Janet Van Dyne in the comics. Like all of the other superheroes hated him because he abused his wife. And like, and they actually had ways that they dealt with it, but those are the first comics that were dealing with some of that more of a mature storyline. That just because you're a superhero, and not to the degree of DC Comics, because DC Comics was like dealing with rape, kids getting blown, like the Joker blew up a whole train full of kids, like Joker raped and shot Batgirl. He raped an older Selena Kyle. Like if you go back and look at some of the stuff and like the Killing Joke and things like that, Joker was wild. And so not to the level of DC Comics where they were dealing with mature like shock value stuff, but X-Men as being at the forefront, they were dealing with like team dynamic issues, and everything wasn't so glossy. Like working on the Justice League, everything was great. People had problems. Like Scott Summers, Cyclops, didn't like Wolverine because they were it was a love triangle. So it resonated with people because it was real, but it was also larger than life. Like they drew like characters like Cable, like his arms were drawn like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like he was huge He was muscly, they were shiny, they were metal, and they were just doing stuff out of this world. And so you tend to resonate with that. If there's a little bit of realism in it, you resonate.
Yeah.
Which is why the first X-Men movies people didn't really like at all, because they changed it. They were just like, yo, where's the colors at? Where's this at? Where's that at?
Yeah.
And then you saw the resurgence. Speaking of Fox, you saw the resurgence when they did X-Men First Class, and they stuck more to the.
That was the First Class. That was like one of the best ones they did. That was on point. That was definitely on point.
Especially when they detailed the friendship between Magneto and Professor X, and it was like a Malcolm and Martin. Like Magneto was like, "Yo, let's kill them all and live by ourselves," and Professor X, Charles, is like, "No, we got to teach them how to be better." Exactly. So having that dynamic and understanding where it comes from, I think is what keeps X-Men, and also the trading cards, knowing people with power levels and having Omega level mutants and mutants that can destroy the world. and the fact that Cable is a child of Scott Summers and Jean Grey, but like from the future, and he's like the most powerful mutant ever. Like Nathan Summers, like understanding how that started to intertwine within the future with the past and changing timelines, which we didn't get a lot of changing timelines in DC.
That was hard.
And somebody will know more than me, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we didn't start messing with timelines in DC until Flashpoint.
You know what? I'm not the expert, but I feel like that's what it was. I remember Flashpoint being that's that thing where we was like, okay, what's that? That's Flash.
Mm-hmm. That's when Flash goes back in time, and Flash goes basically, he breaks the time rule, he breaks the speed rule. He goes back in time and then goes back to a time where
messing everything
up. He goes back where Batman doesn't become Batman. His father actually becomes Batman, and Thomas Wayne is like vindictive, like he kills the people that he avenges or whatever it is. Like it's completely.
We're gonna get into that.
It's a lot of stuff. And then at the end of the Apocalypse War, which is the last movie that came out, like when basically 90% of the superheroes died in a war against Apocalypse, like literally, like they showed them die. Like Wonder Woman, I think she lost a leg and an arm. Shazam sacrificed himself. Harley Quinn got eaten. Batwoman like they just died. Right? They had to go back to Flash because he lived, and it's like, yo, you have to reset it. And so he starts taking off running to reset everything.
Yeah.
So
that's
everything else.
But that's the stories that's the stories that get you like you so drawn into it. And then real quick, if you want to look for a comic book for your daughter, look up Nubia. It is a young girl who is I think she's mixed. I think she's Afro-Latina. And she has Wonder Woman's powers, and she's living in an urban city. I brought it for my daughter, and she loves it. And
that is dope.
It's almost like a graphic novel, and it's called Nubia. And it's
my daughter's she's in the comics too, but that'll be definitely something good for her to look into, because she's been asking me like like what comics could she get into, because she starts looking toward the Japanese anime graphic novels. But I definitely want her to relate to something that that she can identify with. So
yes, I would say start with Nubia, and then another one, just dropping some stuff from you guys. There is a series. It's 5 so far. I think 4. Issue 4 just dropped, but it's called The Other Side of the DC Universe, and it's written by the gentleman who won an Oscar for writing and I believe directing 12 Years a Slave. So the artwork on the front, everything is dope. And it basically takes a lot of these fringe characters of color that were in a lot of stories from the 70s to the 80s, and it gives them a true backstory. And also it looks at them, it looks as the evolution of the superheroes through their eyes. Like one of the first stories is talking about a character who, what was his name? He played like the Horn of Jacob, and he didn't have a superpower really, but he had an exosuit. And then it was funny, like it addressed his character getting retconned and his suit being changed. It also addressed him being upset with Superman, like why Superman doesn't cross to his side of Midway City. Why is there crime? Why is Superman not taking the drug dealers out on his block? Which is why he became a superhero. He becomes a low-level superhero and he's beating up the drug dealers. And then Superman comes down to chastise him. And in one of the best scenes, he was like the panels, he was like, you want to fight? You're not gonna come down here and tell me how to deal with the criminals in my neighborhood who are killing my people. And this is the only time you've come over here. And he was like, that's the proudest moment because he stood up against Superman. It's like, your way of living is not how everyone lives. And you don't come over here to help us. You stay in Metropolis. He said, so you can't come over here and tell me how to be a superhero when I got, 18-year-old kids dying. It was Black Lightning. Sorry. It was Black. It was the first series was detailing Black Lightning's evolution as a superhero.
Man, that's a good show, by the way. That's a
which a lot of people didn't see. It didn't get a lot of production value.
Y'all jumping ahead like y'all. I mean, it's cool because
I won't go too far.
No. You good. I'm in my head. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm going to talk about that Black Lightning because
yes.
But I'm gonna come back to Black Lightning.
Okay.
But so we had X-Men. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then comes the Batman series
on TV.
X-Men,
the animated Batman series. Yeah,
that was on point. Definitely, that was a Emmy winner for sure.
Yes.
What's your impact? How did the Batman series impact you? Like, what was that?
I loved it. Because it came on during the week. It was like, do you remember that Fox Kids? It had it was a block of like TV shows.
Yeah.
And because later on it was like WB, and that's when we get Static Shock. But I'm probably jumping ahead. But I like Batman the series because it was like just a little bit more aggressive. Like because you had your villains had guns and the guns were actually shooting people. Like people would die on an episode, like, or get horribly maimed, like Roland Daggett, who became Clayface, like understanding how that completely messed with and hurt his psyche and having to kill and give up a piece of himself in order to die. Like they had a lot of mature themes that they interspliced throughout the different episodes. And I think it had an effect. I'm sorry. I was just trying to figure out what sound that was. It had an effect on us because people got to see more of Batman. Because because Marvel was the big comic book, series. Everyone wanted to be a part or read Marvel comics. Exactly. And like a lot of the true comic book heads and collectors, they would read DC comics as well. And even that time, was it Icon or Epic? They came out, and you had like Spawn and stuff. That's another Black character. So to be able to see Batman and to see more of his stories and his backstory, I think that got even more people into DC comics. Like, because that's the difference. That's the juxtaposition. Marvel is going to have world-ending events, but for the most part, 9 times out of 10, everybody's going to survive. In DC, your favorite character might die the second panel of the comic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and be dead. Like, he's not coming back. Like, he's dead.
Right.
So, if you like more of a darker storyline, then you're gonna be more of a DC fan. And if you like kind of more of that light, bright, airy type of comic, then you're gonna be a Marvel fan. And you're gonna just be both because you like them both for what they are.
Right. And so you got Batman, right? Batman. I want to say that Batman Beyond comes after that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Batman Beyond, which I didn't get it. I think at that time I started getting older, so I really didn't watch Batman.
That was a good show. Right. That was a good show.
Right.
That was a good show.
Because what I missed, and actually now that I think about it, I saw pieces of it that In comes Static.
Mm-hmm.
doesn't was Static before, or was it during the time like of Batman Beyond? Were they like just one day? Because I know that they related. I think he's kind of trained him. Batman, if I'm not mistaken.
With Static Shock or with Batman Beyond?
Static Shock was on Batman Beyond or Batman. I don't know if he was on Batman or was Batman Beyond.
I'm not sure if he was. I would assume it's Batman Beyond as an older Static Shock.
Right. It was.
Because Batman Beyond was like in the future, like 2025 or something. Yeah. I think Static Shock started coming towards the middle or tail end of Batman Beyond because they wanted to tap into having a black superhero or see what that was. And I love Static Shock because Static Shock talked about, and if you have HBO Max, the whole entire is on HBO Max. Nice. So if you got HBO Max, you can watch Static Shock commercial free. You know what I mean? I watched it with my kids. They talked about gang. They talked about being in gangs, the dangers of being in gangs.
I got shot on that.
Yeah, racism. Like even having white friends, but their parents being like they dealt with it dealt with so many. Like one of my favorite issues was when Virgil was Static Shock when he time travels right to save his mom, because the whole thing is his mom died before the show, and I believe she died of like gang violence, like straight bullet or something, and he goes back in time to try to save her, and then there's the whole realization that he can't, because you can't. The reason he goes back in time is her, so if he saves her, then there's no longer a reason for him to go back in time. And there's no longer him getting powers of being out that night. So then you can't change it like that. And so he has this whole tearful goodbye where he has to realize he can't save his mom. But as growing up and becoming an adult, he realizes, but at least I got to talk to her one last time. You know what I mean? Like that's Static Shock used to have writing or had writing like that. Shout out to Phil Lamar, who's like the voice of everybody. Phil Lamar being on Static Shock. So
he's dope. He's dope.
Yes. He's dope. So it's just awesome, man. There's so much in terms of current stuff in nerd culture, and there's so much stuff when you go back and look at it and you realize, wow, like we had this, like we had Spawn. Spawn was a black character. He's an anti-hero, but you realize you had Spawn and how big
I was
Spawn
collecting that for like the longest, man. Like I still got like a collection of Spawn comics in my closet.
And DC didn't want it. That's why Todd McFarlane left and created Spawn on his own.
Yeah.
And it was huge. And it got a car. Like the HBO series Spawn was so good.
It was good. Yep.
And I like Michael Jai White, but that movie was basura.
That was horrible. Like the animated series, and by the way, I think McFarlane said he was working on coming out with another movie. Like he's trying to redo it. He's trying to redo it and everything.
So Black Lightning.
Yes, let's get on Black Lightning.
Black Lightning. First of all, the first, that brings the first lesbian superhero, or black lesbian superhero ever, right?
On TV. Yep.
So
comics,
right? So take me through the history, because from my research, from what I remember, that Black Lightning was I don't want to say banned, but there was a creative difference of, it was a reason why he didn't come out originally. And then I think they came around and then they brought him back. But he was, I want to say he was created in that 60s, line of 60s,
60s and 70s.
Right.
He was originally an athlete. So the story behind Black Lightning, right, is his father was killed. Again, gang, violence, inner city violence, and which I really like the new storyline, which is the other side of DC. They talk about how everyone kept telling he was fast, but the thing that haunts him is he wasn't fast enough that day to go save his dad. So it always messed him up, but that drove him to the Olympics. So Black Lightning is that first, or one of the first characters that wasn't a metahuman at first, but just trained his body to peak physicality. So he won a gold medal in the Olympics. He was an Olympian. He boxed, all these other things, and he had an education, like he had 2 degrees, and he comes back to Midway City, comes back and he becomes a teacher, but what happens is his powers start to manifest late, and he realizes he has these powers. So he becomes essentially like Daredevil. He becomes like Marvel's Daredevil. He's a low-level street superhero. So he, like I said, he's beating up the drug dealers, the pimps, pushers, child molesters, car thieves. Like, he's trying to legit clean up his neighborhood while cleaning up his school, which was great because people never focus on the fact that he was an educator in the comics. He became principal of the high school he graduated from. So he's trying to mold minds while being a superhero at the same time. And it was a great juxtaposition because towards the end of his superhero career, he realized he probably made more of an impact being a teacher and educating the youth versus beating up, breaking his body, beating up other villains or what end up super villains. So, and he becomes they want him to be part of the Justice League. So he's kind of like a side member of the Justice League, but ultimately is more of your street level superhero. And when the push, or when the craze, I should say, is like a lot of people were overcorrecting and we got to give black people a show, and it's like, we'll just try to do it organically, right. But they were like, oh, let's give a show Black Lightning, and it was obscure because unless you were a comic book fan, you didn't know that there was a character named Black Lightning.
That is,
you didn't know.
True. Very true.
You didn't know it. So then when you watched it and then you saw the production value, which was, you could tell was way different than what they put into the Flash series or what they put into Green Arrow. Like, literally it goes in a hierarchy. They put a ton of money into Green Arrow, the next amount of money into Flash. Then it was, what was it? Not DC United. What was the one they had all the DC characters in there? I forgot the name of it. It was like DC Superheroes. Then it was like DC, Supergirl.
Legends.
Yeah, DC Legends. Then it was like Supergirl. Then it was like Black Lightning in terms of like production value.
That's a fact. Right.
That's crazy.
I felt like it was like
just thrown together.
Almost like, what's the name of the movie with Robert Townsend?
Meteor Man.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
And you're right. I thought they just made a comic book, something for black people to watch, But then I was like, yo, like, it's a legit comic book.
Yeah, it was obscure. Like, again, it was obscure, but they wanted to cash in on the fact that the black community was embracing these things and outwardly embracing them. So they're like, well, let's do a show. And they had some themes, they had some things that were done well, but I don't think the CW gave it their full attention, because you could tell on shows they did. Like one of my favorite shows, which was Jane the Virgin. My wife and I used to love watching that show. That is funny as hell, yo, for real. But you could tell the production value on Jane the Virgin was like up there compared to watching Black Lightning. And then even if you weren't a fan of the Flash, you could tell they were putting more money. They put some money into Flash. They even had Ezra Miller, the actor who played Flash in the DC universe, actually was on the show as a alternate universe Flash. Like, they brought an act to connect all the Flashes, whereas there was a lot of characters that you didn't know.
Shout out to Canada.
Yeah.
All of the Canadian
actors,
Canadian.
Or British, because they never like to hire an actual United States African American. They hire British dude, which is not a bad thing. But I'm just saying it's just funny because you'll like Key and Peele did a sketch. It's like, so why are you being an actor? He's like, well, I'm actually from this neighborhood, and my brother actually got killed over there. Like, oh yeah, you're great. We'll hire you for an extra. And then there's a British guy. He's like, I went to Cambridge, and oh great, you're hired. But no, just because they're all great actors. You were all black. But what they did to Black Lightning with low production value is what I assume they attempted to do with Blade. So when Blade came out, it wasn't originally, oh, this is a Marvel film. Like I don't think they.
Nope. Yeah, they didn't. They did not attach Marvel to it as much as see Marvel everywhere now. It was like standalone.
Yes, it was not. They didn't. No one knew Blade was an actual comic character, and because they didn't think it was going to sell, and so. But once, and Wesley Snipes actually read the comic, and I was like, well, I want to try to play it up as close as it can be to what you would think a black vampire/vampire hunter from the hood would be, and it became this massive success. And as one of the first movies that are like, comic book movies can be successful and can rake in money for us.
That was good movie, man.
It was did their thing with it. It was great. Now they're redoing it, which I'm excited to see. Mahershala Ali, he's taking over Blade now, and they're adding him into the Marvel universe. So he's in phase 4. So like
I didn't see. Yeah, I gotta check that out. I didn't know about that.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be dope, man.
Because like right now in September, they're dropping Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings.
That looks so dope.
And then they're gonna drop a new Blade movie, and they're adding him into the universe. So like he's gonna like mingle with Shang-Chi. He's gonna mingle with Stephen Strange, because especially with Wanda, because they are going to be dealing with more of the magical, mystical element.
Stephen Strange,
Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange. Yeah. And then with Scarlet Witch, because in the TV show they opened up more of her like more magical, mystical powers. They're doing that because they're going to add more magical elements, so that way when they introduce Blade, he's actually going to be fighting zombies in the Marvel universe. Which is why you see Morbius it has his movie coming out, and he's in the Spider-Man universe, because now with Morbius coming out, who is a vampire, now you have another villain for Blade to possibly interact with, which means he possibly interacts with Spider-Man, which means he possibly interacts with the Avengers. Daredevil is coming into the MCU.
You're gonna bring it into it because that series is on point too.
Oh yeah, they actually got the same actor, Charlie Cox. They got him.
Good.
He's going to be, and he filmed a couple of scenes in the new Spider-Man movie, but they're keeping it under wraps whether or not he's in as Daredevil or whether he's in there as Matt Murdock. But he is in the new Spider-Man movie. That's dope. It all connects. And that's the one thing Marvel has done so much better than DCU, is they're completely connecting their universe now.
I say I give that to Disney, man. Disney wants to make that money.
The story was that when they were first started doing comic book movies, the dude at Fox, so Fox would have had like literally all of Marvel. But the head of Fox at the time, so like 1999, 2000, walked into the meeting, and before he talked with his liaison, he said, listen, just get Spider-Man and dump the rest. And so he walked they walked into the meeting, brought Spider-Man, and I think X-Men got thrown in as a package. And that's why you had the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And that's why you didn't have anything else. That's why there was no other Marvel superhero involved in Spider-Man, because they just own the rights, which is why now Marvel, because Disney finally got the rights back to Spider-Man, which is why Spider-Man showed up in Civil War.
I found that so strange. I didn't even notice it. Like, I'm like, yo, Fox owns.
It makes sense now. Yeah.
X-Men.
Yep.
I'm like, I was wondering, like, why didn't Disney have X-Men? Then I was like,
because they didn't own it. They didn't own the rights, which is
that's crazy.
Which is
do they own the rights now? Do they own the rights?
Yes, they own the rights to X-Men. They're redoing the whole thing, and now when you see the Avengers, they're gonna start talking more about mutants, because That's why if you ever watch all the older the first Avengers or Marvel movies, they never mentioned mutant because they couldn't, because technically mutant is copyrighted under X-Men.
Yeah.
So they couldn't mention someone was a mutant. They just said, "Oh, they're enhanced," which is why they had to change the Wanda and Pietro story. Pietro, because Wanda and Pietro are really Magneto's children. They're Magneto. Wanda and Pietro, which is Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, are
I know. You're right. You're right about that.
They're Magneto's children, but they couldn't introduce them as Magneto's children in Avengers Part 2, so they said, "Oh, they're enhanced," and they used one of the stones to give them their powers. But now, when you watch it now, especially if you watch the WandaVision on Disney,
I still got to get in that. I still have.
It's good. I enjoyed it. It when you watch it, it unravels a lot. But WandaVision starts to talk about, like I said, it taps into the magical part, and it starts to kind of make allusions to the parentage of those two characters. It's trying to tie up loose ends, especially because they got the Quicksilver character from the Fox X-Men movies, and he made a cameo appearance on WandaVision, and they were like, wait a minute, they recast him from, like they made a whole thing about it, that this is not the same person that died in Sokovia, but it's someone else. So it's super interesting now that Disney owns it and the directions that they're going, which is why all the series stopped on Netflix. Like they stopped. They stopped Daredevil. They stopped Luke Cage. They stopped Jessica Jones
because they want to bring them in. Just Disney owns them now, and they want to bring them in. Okay, gotcha.
So they said, okay, we're not giving away this for free now, especially because they saw that for a time, those were carrying Netflix. Like when Daredevil,
they were.
Hey, when Luke Cage hit, Luke Cage shut down Netflix. Like so many people hopped on to watch the first episode of Luke Cage. Like it crashed Netflix. It crashed.
That's crazy.
Like it was wild. Like you couldn't watch it for like 2 hours. Like they had to like redo the servers and everything. And it was so much of the social justice impact that it had. Like people like resonated with Luke Cage like crazy. And so now they were like, let's kind of kill some of these characters or stop it, and then let's keep it in our back pocket, because the actors can't portray those characters anywhere else. So just characters for 3 years, so they could kind of keep them in the back pocket to pull them into the universe. So like that's why Charlie Cox is now going to revise his Daredevil role. I don't know if they're going to do the same thing with the Luke Cage actor. Jessica Jones might show up at some point. So it's about to get real in the next 5-6 years and more. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening.
That's crazy, because I'm glad to see that they're venturing past the Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet, because I thought after the Infinity War, I thought they were going to follow like they did like with the comic books. Like that was pretty much going to be it. But I mean, but they're kind of doing it like the comics, because it's like a whole restart over, and that took place in the comics. So they're kind of restarting over with this. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's a good show. But I'm behind, man, because I've been busy. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of stuff.
I make my kids watch them, so it's like our family time. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna watch it together. Like we were gonna watch Loki. Like they were gonna watch it, and they were like, my wife was like, "Honey, have you watched it yet?" I was like, "No, I haven't seen it." Okay, we'll wait. So we'll watch. But because my daughter's really into anime, like she's heavy into it with me. My son, he's a little bit, but my daughter's getting heavy into it, and she likes me. She likes watching it subtitle. Like she's like, and I guess it's because I say all the time. She's like, I hate it. It sounds so stupid when they dub it. So she watches it. She'll watch.
I like it. I get it. I watch it getting a good laugh, man. It's funny to me. I like it.
I don't like dubbed. It just sounds weird. Like, and I heard the best analogy of it, because they were like, "Oh, how can you say that? You don't know if Japanese voice actors are giving the best, acting performance." And a comedian said it. A comedian was like, so you telling me that I can't enjoy an anime in its original language? He's like, that's like going to Korea, listening to The Simpsons and like getting pissed off that The Simpsons are dubbed in Korean. It was like, of course it's going to sound better in a native language. And it was like, so it was crazy.
Man, you know what I wanted to ask you. In fact, we're gonna play a little game real quick. I'm gonna mention some.
We kind of have to go real quick because my red light is going, and so my camera might pop off on me. So let's try.
Man. All right, so I'm gonna run this real quick. I'm gonna run a couple things by you real quick.
Okay.
So Cloak and Dagger. Just give me the first thing that comes.
I enjoyed it. I wish the series would have took more of the comic book origins, meaning the fact that they're from New York City and kind of like the drug aspect and how they're always better together than further apart. And they did have that in the show, but it really made an impact in the comic where they were very codependent on each other. But it was it was groundbreaking because it was a black man and a white woman. Yeah. And they were together, but not necessarily in a relationship. So the comic, the show, I think it was on Freeform or what it was. It was okay. I watched it. I like the music. The soundtrack to it was cool. Like they had a lot of good music in it.
Pennyworth.
I haven't seen them. Like it and Pennyworth. I can speak from because I remember my favorite one, which was the one that came out in the 90s, like 91. The TV series one that was like a mini series. I watched that one as a kid, so I know the story, but I haven't seen the new ones. So I gotta like quickly
get it. Really now I understand why Batman is Batman.
And why? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I thought you said Pennywise. That's why I said it. So Pennyworth, the Alfred backstory. Yeah. I have not watched that. No.
Oh, bro,
he got me onto it, but I haven't finished the season.
With Pennyworth, you'll understand why Batman is Batman. It goes back to where Alfred was born. It describes how he met Batman's father.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a lot of things. But listen, man, we appreciate you coming on here because this is actually something that we never tapped into. You know what I'm saying? So we try to tap into all of the all types of subjects. You know, just with Chord Room. Yeah. Chord Room was where all creativity lives, man. So
that's what's up.
Come on here and be creative, do whatever you want. And we'll do a part 2 to this, man.
Definitely, man. It was a vibe, like for real. Like I really like. Even if we just got to set up like a FaceTime and just talk, like you don't even have to be recorded. Like this was dope. Like I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Listen, bro. I listen. It's always good to see you, man.
Yes.
I'm gonna make my plans to come out there and see you, bro. I promise you that.
That's what's up. You'll be surprised and be like, yo, this is Nebraska. How you making it out?
But dog, man, we appreciate you. Thanks a lot for giving us so much backstory. We're gonna come on. We're gonna do this again, man. All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And hey, if anybody wants to check me out, I am on Anchor. I am on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. You can catch me on Instagram, dropping videos, as well as YouTube. I appreciate it.
No worries. It's a Big Blerd episode. It's the Chord Room. We check y'all later. Same bad time, same bad channel.
All right. Peace out.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Take care, man.